Hey, welcome back everybody. So today, with the seasonal going on and with the end of the season approaching, I'm going to continue doing my Blast of the Past series. And today, because of the seasonal that just happened today, if you haven't seen that yet, it should still be going by the time that this video comes out. We want to go back, all the way back to the meta of the very first seasonal in Legends of Runeterra. So the very first seasonal in Legends of Runeterra happened back in December 2020. And it was before you had champions like Zoe and Viktor. Well, before you had that last part of Targan getting revealed. So what was popular back in that meta? Well, there are two decks that really kind of took over that meta, to be honest, and took over that seasonal. And those are the decks I'm going to highlight today and then another one tomorrow. The first one is the one that you see on the screen. The classic Fiora Shen. So obviously back then, Fiora was a 3/3. And this deck was one of the decks that could take a lot of advantage, and you didn't have stuff like quicksand, right, running around. So she had a good chance of leveling up and being able to finish up games. The other deck, and the one I'm going to cover tomorrow, is going to be TF Gohar, which we'll talk a little bit more about this one. So let's talk about this deck first. So Fiora Shen, and why don't you see this deck anymore in the meta? Well, this Fiora Shen deck used to win two ways, right? You used to win with Fiora. We also used to win because of the value that you could get from River Shaper and being able to just slowly take favorable trades because you have barriers, right? You have Shen on your barriers, you have concerted strikes, etc. So you were able to slowly grind down the opponent and be able to finish the game. That doesn't really happen anymore. Now with Bando City and Shurima being around and Vengeance costing 6 mana and Quicksand being a thing, it's a lot harder for us to actually be able to do that, to be able for us to grind the opponent down and be able to actually win on value on the board and be able to actually get those good trades. It's a lot more difficult now to attack, and Shen is more vulnerable than ever to stuff like blockers, right? There's a lot of 5 attack units that can block, that can just fully take advantage of Shen. So it becomes a lot more difficult to be able to win with a deck like this. Because funnily enough, I mean, not a lot of cards have gotten nerfed from this deck. I mean, obviously Sharpside got nerfed, but Sharpside got nerfed way after Fiora Shen already wasn't a thing. The biggest nerf was probably the nerf to Fiora herself, right? Her becoming 2 health means that you have to commit a lot more stuff to actually keep her alive. While before with 3 health, she could at least trade with like 1 unit before you had to start committing stuff to it. Obviously, Pursuit, the nerf happened also afterwards, where it went up to 4 mana. And yeah, I mean, everything else is almost still the same, right? So how does this deck work? Again, like, it's more like a Demacia mid-range deck that's just taking a lot of protection. So obviously you're familiar with all the Demacia mid-range, you're familiar with Pantheon, Sirachan, etc. So it's kind of using a lot of the same tools, and then using for Ionia tools like Deny, Nullify, River Shaper, so that you don't run out of resources. Shen, so that you can get a lot of value trades, and Spirit's Refuge. Obviously, this deck list just won through that value alone, and that's what made it very powerful. So I mean, it's kind of hard to describe that any more than that. So obviously, like we talked about before with this series, we'll go ahead and play a few games with this deck exactly how it was back then, and then we'll spend some time updating the deck list to include the stuff in the new meta. Obviously, one of the big things here is that we don't have any Broadwinds, right? So Broadwind could be a really good addition into a deck like this. And then we'll play a few games with the updated version, and then we'll finish it up there. So yeah, I mean, the deck is pretty straightforward. It's a lot of like early drop units. You just have to try to keep alive, try to protect them with your barriers, and just kind of try to finish up the game. You can try to blow out opponents with stuff like Judgment or Bright Steel, but I very much doubt that the game will get this long in the current meta. So we'll see how it goes. As always, if you like the content, please make sure to like the video below. And if you'd like to see more of us, you can subscribe to us. We post LR videos every single day. And you can also catch us on Twitch. At Twitch Sirturmund, where we stream 3 to 4 times a week. And you can also find us on Discord and Twitter. The links to those are both in the description below. Hope you enjoy the games, and I'll see you all in a little bit when we update the deck list. So in this matchup, we'll be going up against Viego Shurima. Now, we do have stuff like Concerted Strike to be able to fight against the Viego. The Deny is not bad against like Vengeance. I just think it's a little bit too slow at the moment. Man, River Shaper is not what it used to be, huh? I guess we still get some value by keeping him on the field, and we can protect him with Sharpsight. So it might not be the end of the world to keep him alive. We get the Fiora, but Fiora is going to require us to commit Sharpsight to keep her alive. Hmm. Yeah, Treasure Seeker means that the River Shaper is always going to get blocked by the Treasure Seeker. And Fiora cannot even kill this. I guess you have the Shen, right? We have the Shen plus the Fiora combo. But the fact that Fiora cannot even kill the Treasure Seeker is so sad. Although, even if Fiora had 3 health, I still wouldn't attack into it because we lose to like a Battle Feast, right? So you just have to be a little bit careful about that, or how we do that. What is opponent waiting for? Oh man, like even if you put the barrier in the Fiora, if the opponent has a Battle Feast, they'll be able to stop, like be able to ping the spell shield, the barrier, and be able to kill the Fiora. I like the River Shaper first, because we might have to just block the River Shaper next turn, to be honest. I like the River Shaper first, and then we'll do the Shen next turn, I mean. Double Shen is not bad. I don't hate the Stand United, to be honest. Don't hate the Stand United. So we'll see how this goes. But he's really thinking hard. Wait, why do this? I guess opponent's gonna have the right of calling here. That's the only reason why I see them doing this, because otherwise I'm just never attacking, right? You have to have glimpse or right of calling to make this worth it. Otherwise you just wasted your walking sense for no reason. And we just play Shen next turn. Wow. So no right of calling, no glimpse. I'm kind of a little bit confused here.
The soul wears away like grains of sand.
That's alright. I mean, this still gets the value, which is what we were looking for, right? So we were looking for this to still be able to get some value. Heck, we could even save it if we wanted to. Our opponent just realized that you know, we have the sharp so we can save it. So that's why he ended up just letting it go. I think we just go ahead and do the Fiora next turn. If the opponent has Vengeance, then they have Vengeance. It is what it is. Battle Feast will be a problem, though. That cannot be right. What if we just try to kill that Viego? Well, no, because if we do Sharp Sight, it has to be concerted then, right? Has to be concerted. And the reason that I'm going to do concerted first is to play around a Quicksand. So if the opponent has Quicksand, I want to do it right now before we attack. Because the Quicksand is able to remove the barrier from the Fiora, so to be able to kill her. So if the opponent has the Quicksand, I want them to use it right now. If they use something like Hourglass to keep the Viego alive, then we can still go ahead and get the free kill on the Sand Spinner. Because the opponent will only have 1 mana left. And they shouldn't have anything for 1 mana. So doing Concerted Strike first is always better here, because he has to bait out an answer. Yep, and there you go. So opponent, they have the Quicksand, so they're able to do this. Unfortunately, we're not able to kill that Viego, right? And if we attack here with this, then all we're doing is just having the opponent kill our Shen, right? Because of how the opponent did it. So we had to pass. But yeah, if we had open attack there, the Quicksand would have just punished us way too much. We might have to actually go for the Stand United, to be honest. And if the opponent has a Battle Feast, that's the only punish here. So it's gonna have to be Stand United for us to save the Fiora. If the opponent gives us the Viego, I'm actually gonna just trade. I'm gonna press OK here. If the opponent actually wants to give us the Viego like this, I'm gonna let it go. And just click OK. So I want to see what the opponent does. Oh, well, okay. It's a little bit annoying, but I think the Viego is more important for him than the Fiora is for me. So the Viego is, I mean, the Fiora is important, but I think it's more important for him to actually keep the Viego alive. Opponent probably has the Hydroban here, though. That's the only problem. Oh man, I wish I would have summoned the. I guess he needed to be the Shen. I think it's gonna be this. I think I like this to get some value here. Still gives me enough mana to do single combat if we need to kill like the Hydroban. The opponent goes like this and just gonna get the free value then. If the opponent has the Hydroban, we can also sacrifice our Citria. It doesn't matter to us. Perfect. We have a second Citra, so that's why I don't care about this. The Hydroman is way more important because obviously the encroaching miss is a problem. We got some value out of this guy, and he's gonna get a little bit more value. We have a second Citra that we can put down, which I don't mind it. I think it's second Citra because obviously the Shen means that we tap out of almost everything else. This gives us the mana. So second Citra ends up being okay here. If opponent attacks, he's just gonna get hit by the Chevalier. Okay, so he's gonna decide to just let. He's gonna have to block with one of these. I mean, he's gonna have to pull with one of these anyways. Okay, so we got another challenger. The question is it second Citra or is it Shen? I guess it's just Shen, right? That gives me access to the Stand United. We can even do... Is it Ursari or is it Protege? So, if we do the Ursari, we can kill his unit while still having single combat available. If we do River Shaper, we get to draw. I think River Shaper is better. Because neither of his units can actually kill any one of my units either. River Shaper still lets us access to single combat and sharp side while giving us, right? Because we can barrier the River Shaper with the Shen. And there we go. So opponent made a big mistake, I think, sacrificing the Viego. So I was completely fine. So opponent got baited by the fact that we have Fiora on the field and thought that he needed to deal with the Fiora, when the Viego is really the bigger threat that we have to worry about. So yeah, GG's. So in this matchup, we'll be going up against Gnar Swain. So this is a really bad matchup for us because opponent's gonna have freezes, flocks, scorched earths, and everything else in the imaginable universe that you could think of. I'm gonna get greedy with the Screeching Dragon. So this is one of the weaknesses of this deck. That sometimes you get a little bit too many spells in your hand. So let's see how this goes. Okay, this is not bad. So we can... The problem here is that we're gonna just... Okay, so Fiora is pretty good too. Opponent decides to just do this, in which case I think they have an Avalanche. They have an Avalanche that they're trying to set up for the Avalanche is what I'm guessing. So I'm just gonna go this way. They're like trying to bait me into playing something. And I don't think we need to just yet. So opponent cannot attack anymore, right? Because they will lose into the Screeching Dragon. If they decide to attack, they're just putting too much pressure. We're putting too much pressure on them. We can do the Shen here, protecting our Screeching Dragon, while also still having mana for Concerted Strike and Deny if we need to. So this first one is going to go bye-bye. Even if the opponent has a freeze, it won't stop. Okay, so I guess he does it like this first. I think it's okay to pass. I don't think I need to put damage on my Screeching Dragon just yet. I feel like if we play Concerted here, we're going to be losing. We're going to be playing right into... So playing Concerted here loses to two things. Loses to Calling Strike and loses to the Three Sisters. So I think playing Concerted is a mistake. There's too many things that we lose to with Concerted. Okay, he's just going to go Abyss. So if it goes like this, then should we just play the Concerted now then? I think now we play it. I feel like if the opponent has it now, if the opponent has a Calling Strike or something like that, I'm willing to just take this right now. Okay, he doesn't have it. We can actually go ahead and do the Fiora, but then I'm still worried about the Avalanche. But if the opponent does the Avalanche, they lose in the whole board as well. Okay, so no Avalanche. No, Avalanche is pretty good for us. We can go like this. I guess we should go like this, to be honest. I think this is better. This puts the least damage on the dragon. Keeps staying out of block range. We still kill the sentry. This becomes flock range, though, which is a little bit annoying. Fiora could potentially win this game because we have the concerted with the Fiora, and we also have a single combat. So there is a world where Fiora actually finishes this game. I'm gonna do the River Shaper and have the 9 mana. I guess we lose to a Rabin here. So Blighted Rabin will be a problem. Like a really big problem, actually. So not playing around Rabin was an issue. Okay. I think we don't need to do anything. If the opponent wants to play it safe, we can play it safe. We have a pretty big board that if the opponent doesn't do anything about it, we can just finish the game. With double D9 backup and Fiora being able to almost level up, there is going to be a big problem for the opponent. Because we can just pull with Shen and Fiora next turn and have the Screeching Dragon push 6, Shen push 3. Yeah. So this is Rabin that we talked about. I like doing this. Gives me the draw from the River Shaper and levels up the Fiora, which would keep her alive. If opponent has a second Rabin, then that would be a problem. If opponent has the second Rabin, that would be a problem. We have Deny and Nullify to back this up. Losing the second Concerted though makes us vulnerable to oh, never mind, we just get another one. So losing the second Concerted does make us vulnerable to a couple of things. So opponent had the Rabin. Having the rally would have been really good here too. That could have been an option that we drew into it. Okay. So we lose a big chunk of our board. We're still able to push a ton of damage here. Right? What if we just summon the Screeching Dragon? With having Deny, I don't think I mind the Screeching Dragon. Because if your opponent summons a unit, they're just feeding the Fiora, which they might be concerned about. And having the Deny means that we're not worried about a second Avalanche. We could just do the lifesteal. We could also deny this. I like the deny. I like the deny here. I like the deny because we have a second deny and we also still have Nullify to be able to stop like a flock. We could just replay the Shen, but if we replay the Shen, we're losing to a couple things. I like the Nullify. I like the Nullify to force the opponent to have another one. Okay, there we go. So if they do this, are we ever doing the single combat? I don't think we are. I think we can save the single combat to potentially win with Fiora. If opponent has an Avalanche, that would be a problem. Here we can push damage like this. My units is still out of range. Opponent is still taking 8 damage. Okay, so he has the Scorcher anyway. So if he has the Scorcher, Fiora was never winning. We still have 2 units that are really big, and we have a Shen, and we have a Deny, and a Concerted Strike. So I think I'm okay with this. Opponent has 3 champions in their hand that they haven't played yet. Fiora is pretty big.
Something ancient stirs.
So opponent's gonna try to... That does deal damage, right? That does deal damage. So we might have to do this. Unfortunately, we have to do this, I think. We can't let this deal 1, because if that deals 1 to us, we die to a second Rabin, right? So we would die to a second Rabin if we let that do 1 to us. Now we can go ahead and do Citra. Opponent has no blockers for Citra, and we can push the lethal damage. Opponent will have to have a flock right here to stop this. Doesn't have it. We have the Deny for the answer. I guess this actually levels up, right? So he does have a blocker here because this still gets to level up. I like the Shen. I think we just develop here.
I walk the space between worlds.
We can also even do River Shaper and still have mana for the Deny. I forgot that the Anibia's leveled up, so she's just coming back. For some reason, I thought that she was still going to be in the egg form. 3 sisters, so this is going to try to entomb. Oh, it's just going to freeze. The freeze doesn't do anything, though. I guess if you do it like that, he does. He's trying, so that means he doesn't have a way to deal with her. I'm gonna do the River Shaper. This is gonna potentially push lethal here. Opponent already used triple Calling Strike, already used one Scorched Earth. Opponent has 2 champions in their hands. Okay, well, they get the Gens, okay. So, this is gonna push through no matter what. This is gonna get hit. So the question here is, we can go like this to kill the Gens, or we can go like this, where we lose this unit. So it has to be like this, and then we're only pushing 4 sets damage, and the opponent gets their Anivia right back. But this is the best way to do it. We're gonna have to sacrifice the Screeching Dragon, because I can't let the Anivia survive. Obviously, the opponent just blocks. I mean, opponent doesn't even need to block the Citra, to be honest. He can just keep... But I mean, he always blocks it, right? He always blocks the Citra to be able to put 2 damage on her. So the Gens... Okay, so the Gens dies. Opponent gets the Anivia. We do have the single combat to deal with a potential Anivia. We still have the Spirit's Refuge. We still have Citra on the field next turn. The Anivia does 2, so it will kill the River Shaper, but it's not enough to kill everything else. We don't have any more denies, though. Fiora is pretty good. Fiora is pretty good. Problem is that she resets, right? So we can just do like this. Call it a day. Are we ever gonna do the single combat here? I don't think it's necessary. I was debating to see if joining with the River Shaper is actually correct, and I don't think it is. I think we pass because we win on the open attack if the opponent gets greedy. Okay, well if they have that, then I guess we no longer open. We do have another challenger to pull units with, so it's not the end of the world. Scion is a problem. Why do we single combat right now? To get rid of a fearsome blocker. That should give me what I need, right? No, it's not enough. It's not enough anyways. Still not enough. Because opponent always blocks here, right? Oh wait, with the sharp side it's gonna be enough, right? With the sharp side, the Shen will be enough. With the sharp side, it's gonna be enough. So this is always gonna die. We can pull here. We have to always pull. We always have to pull right here, right? The Shen is gonna have to be the one to win. If the opponent has another 3 sisters, we lose the game. This gives him access to the attack with the Scion and the Anivia. So maybe we go like this. But then he just does the same thing next turn. I'm trying to push the lethal with the Shen. And it needs to be exactly the opponent having the freeze to be able to win here. Otherwise we get the lethal. Exact lethal. Scorched Earth is also a problem. So it has to be Scorched Earth for 3 sisters. And we get that. Wow. Okay. That was close. That was close. Oh man. Scorched Earth would have also been enough, right? So we got there. GG's. Whew. Close, close, close. So, as we saw, the deck still can do some good stuff, right? So, at the end of the day, it's still a massive deck. And stuff like Concerted Strike can still put in a lot of pressure on the opponent. So, I think the deck is still decent, but it definitely needs to be a little bit updated so that we just don't run out of resources that quickly. And obviously Fiora being a 2 health unit makes things a lot more difficult. So let's spend some time here and think about how will we update this deck. So first, let's look at the cards that we will probably want to have. I don't think the Fleet Feather makes sense. I think definitely the Broadwind does, but not the Fleet Feather. I don't know how I feel about the Caretaker. Like, the Caretaker is really good with Shen, but I think that's the only time that the Caretaker is good. Don't think it's good enough anywhere else, so I'm trying to see if there's another one drop. Ranger's Resolve might be necessary. Try to see if there's any other one drop that I would rather have instead of the Caretaker. Does he have to actually just be Fleet Feather Tracker? It might just have to be Fleet Feather. Or do we just keep the Caretaker and call it a day? Let's put the Fleet Feather here for a second, and then we'll think about it a little bit more. I definitely think we do have to play the Broadwind, so as soon as we find him. But let me just take a look at the rest of the 2 drops that we have available for us. So I think 1 upper fight is okay. Definitely think the Predator-sized Broadwind is very important. We already have Sharp Sight. Do we need to be on 3 Sharp Sight? I think we do. I think 3 Sharp Sight is too important to play around, like, be able to block like the Aphelios, for example. And the fact that, like, the elusives from Fist Aphelios, that's where Sharp Sight is necessary. And the fact that it gives us 2 health can also be very important. Twin is a consideration, right? Again, I'm just going to add everything and then we'll actually cut stuff. Young Witch doesn't make sense to me because unfortunately she's a 1 health unit. Is it ever Protege? Do we ever play Protege in this deck? Because it can synergize with both Fiora and with the Broadwind. And what about the Sculpture as well? Where are you? Sculpture. Sculpture might actually be necessary. So let's go Sculpture. And let's go also the Protege. Again, we'll cut a lot of these cards. Don't think the loaded Protege here is necessary. Memory Cloud is kind of funny. I don't mind the River Shaper. We'll probably go down to 2 River Shapers though, to be honest. Prismatic is not probably that good at the moment. Oh my god, the Tailstones will be really nice, actually. Once we get the Massive Tailstones next patch, that would be kind of cool. Shield of Duran is actually really good, right? With both Fiora and your Broadwind as well. And some of your other challengers, and even with Shen. Don't think we need the Faefolk. Don't think we need the Surgeon. I don't mind 2D Nice. Everything else here looks fine. Probably Golden Ages over the Pursue. So we'll go back and change this. Again, when we update this deck, we're still trying to keep the spirit of Fiora Shen, where you're actually trying to still win with either Fiora and still have Shen on your deck list as well. So let's see if there's anything else here that makes sense. I don't think there is. I think it's going to be almost time for us to start cutting stuff, because we have a lot of cutting to do. We have 61 and we can only get to 40. Yeah, everything here is probably too expensive. So now let's think about cuts. I think the Caretaker might be greedy. I don't know if she's actually doing a lot. And the reason I'm saying that is because I'm probably going to cut some of the Spear's Refuge. So the only way that she works is going to be when we have... Okay, first of all, I think the Bright Steel might be a little bit too expensive in this metagame. Same thing with Judgment. So I'm thinking we just cut these 2 cards, which kind of hurts me a little bit, but it might be necessary. I'm really having a hard time cutting here. I'm having a hard time here figuring out what to cut. It has to be a combination of both spells and units though, because we have almost equally number of both. Okay, so let's look at our 2 drops. If we go Protector, Durant, like, are we playing more like a Scout deck? Like, at that point, why not just play Scout? Like, the Protector feels is so good though with Fiora. You have the Barrier here. Let's keep the Caretaker. Is Resolve necessary? At least let's at least keep 1 up for now. I don't think we can play 3 twins. It's either twin or we keep the Sharp Sight. Which one is better? Because Sharp Sight has the benefit of being able to, but the twin is 3 health instead of just 2. If we have the Shield of Duran, maybe we don't actually play twin because we have the Shield of Duran instead. I think the Duran project can go down to 2 maximum, and we can get the River Shaper down to 2 as well. I think obviously we cut the Pursuit. I think the Chevalier is no longer needed because we have Broadwind. I don't think we can play 2 Refuge. Maybe we only go down to 1. Might even cut it down to 0, to be honest. Triple Consider seems a little bit greedy. I only like 2 Citria, although 3 Citria is not bad. It's a way for us to finish games. I like the Screeching Dragon a lot. And the Judgment just seems like a big way for us to blow people out. I think we can cut both of these out. We're down to 7. Still have maybe one or two too many spells. I really like all the strikes, because the strikes and even the single combat can just synergize with the fact that you have barriers. Maybe just 1 Golden Ages. I think 2 might be a little bit too greedy, because this deck is not really winning on the rally. Maybe we actually don't play the Ranger's Resolve. None of our units really need it that much. Maybe 1 Caretaker, 1 Resolve. We go something like this. And play more for this culture, giving value to Fiora and the rest of our units and the Broadwind. Still have 4 cards. Oh man, these last 4 are going to be tough. Let's say Refuge is one of them. So we keep the Repose. So let's say we keep the Repose so that we have additional barriers. So this is really vulnerable to stuff like Quicksand anyways. If we cut the Repose, I think spell-wise we're okay. So the last 3 probably are cuts to units. But cutting units seems a little bit weird here. Are we ever just getting rid of the Caretaker entirely? What if we are? What if we're just saying that we're never going to play anything on turn 1? Are we too vulnerable to like aggro? I really like the Protege with Fiora, to be honest. If our idea is to still try to win with like Fiora alternate win condition, and I think here we can just remove one of the strikes, whether it's single combat or concerted. I don't mind being single combat, the one that we cut. We could also just go back down to 2 sharp side, but I think 3 sharp side is too good to pass up. I don't mind single combat being our second cut. I think triple consider might be more important because with Fiora having a little bit less health, the consider ends up being a little bit more impactful. So maybe this is how he looks like. 18 spells, 24 units. We still have double River Shaper. See, I like it like this. Let's give this a shot. Let's give this a shot and see how it goes. The Sculpture might be a little bit too greedy, but I think she's going to be important if we're trying to potentially win with Fiora. So yeah, let's give this a shot. That's what I would do. That's what I would do if I was to update it. And we'll see how it goes here in the next few games. So yeah, hope you enjoy the games coming up soon. So in this matchup, we'll be going up against Viego, Shurima. Concerted Strikes is when the Concerted Strikes become really, really good to be able to deal with the Viego. Unfortunately, not having any units can be a little bit scary. I think I have to kick this out. Okay, we get it back, but I have to try to see if I can get Shen or Fiora on the field. The Sculpture is also really nice. Sculpture is really nice, actually. I like this Sculpture. Now we just need to start actually joining the rest of our units to be able to actually get a lot of value from this Sculpture. Oh wow, that's pretty good. So Fiora is gonna have 3 health now, so back to pre-nerf Fiora to be able to actually get some value. I don't mind pushing the 2 damage here, to be honest. That 2 damage might make a big difference. The problem with Fiora is gonna be Quicksand, right? So I'm having a hard time thinking how Fiora wins this game because of Quicksand. Quicksand is a problem.
Arda's gonna make a meal of them.
We just Fiora now, right? There's no reason not to Fiora. Like opponent's always gonna kill this Sculpture no matter what, so we're never gonna get the value of having double Sculpture on the field. Unfortunately for us. So I think we always just Fiora and just get the value here. And call it a day. If the opponent decides to just push forward, I mean, like, they're gonna get punished by like a Shen, right? Now, imagine if we had Shen right here. The opponent could have Vengeance though, so that's what we have to be concerned about. So I actually like the pass here. So I like the pass here a lot because we have to be worried about like Vengeance, right?
Submission or death for all who
We could consider this right now, to be honest, but maybe we just do the Screeching Dragon instead. Because the Concerted loses to the Quicksand, right? Although I might not hate it. Concerted loses to the Quicksand here, and our opponent gets to push a ton of damage. I think I like it. If the opponent has Quicksand, I want them to use it right now. Opponent could have the Hourglass, but that's one less Hourglass that we have to worry about. Yeah, that's fine. So that's one less Hourglass we have to worry about. Opponent decided not to go for the Quicksand, so that means that they probably don't need to worry about it. Here we can do the Screeching Dragon, which will allow us to still kill the Viego. And now this is forcing the opponent to have to use the Quicksand then to stop the Viego from just die to the Screeching Dragon, right? We even get the kills here. I guess opponent could have a Glimpse. And the Glimpse gets punished by a Sharp Sight. So the Glimpse gets punished by a Sharp Sight, so we still get to kill the Viego. The Fiora still gets a 3 HP. And there we go, we're in a decent spot. I really like Fiora Shen. So Fiora Shen used to be one of my favorite decks for this reason. Like, it feels like you really have to outplay and really think about the stuff that you need to do, right? Which is more than what other decks are able to do. I don't know if the Repose is actually worth it here, but the Shield of Duran is huge. Shield of Duran is huge because it will keep the Fiora alive. I like doing the Broadwind first and having the Shield of Duran as a backup. The opponent is going to try to kill this with the Walking Sands. Because the problem is that the Repose gets punished by... Okay, well, if the opponent has it, they have it. So what am I thinking here? Yeah, if they have the Battle Feast, they have the Battle Feast. No Battle Feast. Or they probably have it right now, I guess. I guess that makes sense. You said after the combat. There's no reason to do it before that. Opponent could still technically have Vengeance, for example. Okay, so he does have the Battle Feast. Are we ever doing the single combat right now to prevent this Battle Feast? While also being able to kill his stuff. I think it's fine. I think this Battle Feast, I think this single combat is fine. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Because what we wanted to do was get rid of that unit, right? Because next turn we can just do the Citria and be able to give everything fearsome. If the opponent has the Hydravine, we can actually kill the Hydravine with the Screeching Dragon. Right? So the Screeching Dragon can actually kill the Hydravine. Opponent's gonna have to probably Vengeance this. Okay, well. That doesn't really do a ton for us. I mean, I guess the problem here is that, like, if we attack like this, we lose some damage here. I mean, this is pushing... So let's say that we don't pull, right? The dragon pushes 6. This guy pushes 5. I think it's better to push like this. And just go ahead and get our value here. We can also just kill it this way. And keep the Screeching Dragon to push a little bit more damage. And also keep the Screeching Dragon a little bit healthier. I think this is also okay. Because opponent is always going to be able to block the Citria, right? I like it like this. I like keeping the Screeching Dragon with a little bit more health. Because the Screeching Dragon is able to combine with the Repose. The Duran is not able to do that. So we get to put the opponent at 8 HP. Opponent's going to have to do something next turn, right? Now that opponent already did 2 Merciless Hunters, so it's very unlikely that they have another unit that can give... Oh, the Ignite is huge. The Ignite is huge to stop like a Vengeance. Like, this is lethal in the open if the opponent doesn't have a way to deal with Citria. And let's say that the opponent does Viego right here. We can just pass, right? Because we can still kill the... We can still have lethal because of the Broadwind being able to pull the Viego. Opponent's going to have to commit something else to make this worth it. Yeah. So the reason that the opponent did it this way is because by doing this first, we lose to a Quicksand. So the reason the opponent did it this way is because by doing this first, Once this dies, like, do we go after the Viego? I think we do. And if we go after the Viego, it's better to do it like this. Nah, I like it like this. I think we're gonna risk it. We have denied to be able to stop a Rattle Negation. I'm gonna risk it. So it has to be exactly Quicksand or the opponent loses. Woo! So Viego dies, opponent loses, opponent still doesn't get to kill anything. I guess opponent could have the third Merciless Hunter. That doesn't matter to me. We don't need to block. Next time we push lethal because everything has Fearsome. Opponent, we need to have the Vengeance. We tapped out of the deny. Even if the opponent has a Fearsome blocker here, we can put it with the Broadwind. I think I needed to risk it. Opponent has kind of been showing that they don't have Quicksand, so I think it was fine to risk it. And just call it a day like this. So they need to top deck the Quicksand or have the Vengeance here to be able to win. They top deck the Quicksand. Okay. They top deck the Quicksand, but now we have a Concerted Strike. So Concerted Strike is able to kill the third Viego because we really kill a bunch of them. Right, we really killed 2 Viegos. Opponent gets the third one, and they're gonna get punished by the opponent's gonna get punished by the Concerted Strike when they play it here. Decides not to play it, so they're gonna save the mana for the Rattle Negation, I guess, if they have it.
When we look ahead, we know how to prepare.
I'm gonna go ahead and just summon this. There's no reason not to. Does the Viego, we attack like this and call it a day. Opponent will need to have the Rattle Negation or Hourglass. There we go. We still have Challenger, so we still win the game, by the way. No, we don't actually. Yeah, we do, because opponent should actually sacrifice. Opponent should actually attack with Viego. If opponent wants to be able to win, they need to attack with Viego. The problem is that now the Viego is vulnerable to our Broadwinds, right? And we have lethal with the Repose. So we always have lethal with the Repose, right?
Where's my hammer?
I guess we should just like, it doesn't matter which way we pull this. It's always gonna be the same. I'm just gonna do it like this. I'm gonna force both the lethal and the opponent to lose their Viego. So opponent has a choice. They can either save their Viego or have the lethal. If they have a Quicksand, we lose, but we always lose to a Quicksand, in my opinion. So I'm just gonna do it like this. What we could have done, actually, is that we didn't need to pull everything. We needed to just pull the Viego. And we could have waited for the opponent to first do the Quicksand. That probably would have been better, to be honest. Because the opponent could have gotten greedy and done the Quicksand on this guy. Okay, well, it was atrocity. But yeah, it ended up working out. We ended up drawing the cards that we needed, and there we go. We ended up winning. I think the Sculpture did put in a lot of work this game by giving extra health to our units, letting them survive just a little bit longer for what we needed. So yeah, GG's. So in this matchup, we'll be going up against Viktor Lee Sin. So unfortunately for his opponent's deck, you are kind of vulnerable to the Masia decks. Unfortunately for us, this is not a great starting hand. Okay, well, we get it Concerted. I got greedy with the Prodigy because the Prodigy can combine with stuff like Fiora. The problem is that the opponent probably plays... I know they play Mystic Shot for sure. I know they play Mystic Shot, and they could also play Will of Ionia, which means that we shouldn't rely on the Fiora to be able to win the game. The Knight is huge, and the Screeching Dragon can tag the Viktor. So the reason I kept the Screeching Dragon is because we know we can kill Viktor with this. Oh, that's also fodder food for Fiora, by the way. So we know we can kill Viktor with this, which is pretty good. Opponent's probably going to try to do Mystic Shot here, and then they're going to get punished by the Shield of Duran. No. I think we always commit the Prodigy first. So the reason that I like committing the Prodigy first is because it means that we don't have to play around Mystic. So we don't have to play around Mystic Shot, and we don't have to play around Twin. The question here is, do we kill the Eye or do we kill the Ballistic? And I think the Ballistic is always the right answer. The Ballistic is such a big engine for their deck because it enables like the Viktor and the Lee Sin to be able to actually get a lot of value. So we always go for the Ballistic. If the opponent has Viktor right here, it kind of sucks, but he can never attack with the Dragon. Like, yeah, so he's gonna go out like this. And once he commits one more answer here, we can Shiloh Duran. So Shiloh Duran is safer than anything else because he also plays around a second Twin. Right? Because second Twin only takes this to 5. The Mystic takes me... Okay, well, he decided to just keep his unit alive. So that's 2 Twins down, though. So that's 2 Twin Disciplines down that we don't have to worry about, which is huge for us. Right? And our Fiora is now at 5 HP, and we have 2 repose to also protect her. I'm gonna pass here. I don't think I need to do anything. What we can do next turn is that we can do the Screeching Dragon and still have the 9 mana open for us. Or do we just attack? I kind of just like the attack, actually. I kind of like the attack. Leaving access to both Concerted plus Deny open seems pretty good to me. I like this attack right here. Fiora gets the Ballistic. We still have access to Concerted Strike to be able to kill like an opponent's unit. We're gonna head and do the Sculpture right now, giving us another unit that we can use for Concerted. Oh my goodness. Okay, well that's his third Mystic Shot, by the way. That's his third Mystic. The problem here is Lee Sin is leveled up. So Lee Sin is leveled up. I'm gonna actually go this way. So the reason I'm gonna do this first is because if the opponent has Lee Sin right here, we wanna be able to kill the Lee Sin with the Concerted Strike, and we need a unit to be able to eat up. We need a unit to be able to eat up the shield, right? I like the Citria. I don't mind the Citria. Opponent's gonna try to look for answers here. We can just eat up the Eye of the Dragon for free while still being able to push 9 damage. We also have Concerted Strike now, still available for us. And Fiora is gonna level up, taking her to 4 attack normally. So opponent's in trouble now. Now, I am playing it very slow, which might be a problem, because I'm letting the opponent be able to potentially join to the Lee Sin. But I think it's always smart for us to always have enough mana for Concerted. I think having enough mana for Concerted and Screeching Dragon is way more important than anything else. Here we have, that's game. Here we have enough mana to do Deny plus Concerted Strike, which means that an opponent really used 2 Twin, right? Which means that we could have the Citria be the one to target the Lee Sin second and be able to kill it. So yeah, there you go. Just a lot of pressure from us. GG's. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed those games. I'm actually very surprised how well I did with this deck today. Maybe this is one of those decks that's actually kind of secret OP and nobody has been playing it, right? Then again, you know, I did not run into like any Pantheon decks, right? We ran into Viego twice, and Viego is going to be vulnerable to stuff like Concerted Strike, so that gave us a lot of advantage. And we're able to get value by killing it in different ways. But I'm very surprised. I think between the old list and this new updated list, I think I went like 4-1 in the games that I played today, which is not bad at all for a deck that really has missing a lot of play at all in the meta. I think at the end of the day, right, the strength from Demacia is really good. Stuff like Broadwind combined with Sculpture. I do like the addition of the Prodigy, to be honest. It can make Fiora feel a lot better because you can give her both health and tough, which is pretty nice. And the Shield of the Run is also very good too. So I honestly, I really like this. I really like this version of the deck. I'm not sure about Citria as a finisher, but you saw she did win us quite a bit of games, so it's actually pretty good. So maybe this is how you play it. I just think we are gonna get like run down by aggro because we're not running any early units, right, or any way to lifesteal. So that's the only problem. So let's ignore the Pirate matchup and pretend that this deck can work perfectly against everything else. But it actually does not seem like a bad idea if you're trying to target, let's say like in a tournament meta, if you're trying to target something like Viego. It seems to actually do okay. So I was surprised. And I actually like how things turned out here. But I hope you also enjoy the games just like I did. If you want to play this deck list, what I'll do is that in the description below, I have both the old deck list and the new deck list, in the description, so you can check them out both. Again, this was a throwback all the way from the first seasonal, just in the spirit of this weekend being the seasonal weekend, the top 32. The Fiora Shens were making a lot of top 32 back then, and tomorrow we'll showcase the other side of that coin, which was Twisted Fate Gohar decks. But anyways, yeah. Hope you enjoy the games. If there's anything else that you want us to see here, I think, well, you know what? I always forget about the mulligan. In terms of mulligan, as you saw, I think keeping the Fiora is good. Keeping the Prodigy, I think is actually very good as well if you really have like a Broadwind or a Fiora in your hand. Sculpture is also very good, and Broadwind. So Sculpture, Broadwind, Prodigy, and Fiora will be my picks of cards to pick in your hand early, to keep in your hand early on, and to mulligan for. And sometimes the Screeching Dragon as well, even if you're not going to play him until later into the game. But anyway, hope you enjoyed those games. Had a lot of fun with this deck. I love revisiting this archetype because it used to be one of my favorite archetypes out there. If you like the content, please make sure to like the video below. You can also subscribe to us. We post LOI videos every day. Tomorrow we'll be back with another Blast for the Past series, and then Monday do the last reveal reaction, and then Tuesday we'll do our just patch where I give you like a bunch of new decks to try out before the patch drops out on Wednesday. If you also like our content, you can catch us on Twitch at Twitch Sirturmund, where we stream 3 to 4 times a week. And you can also find us on Twitter and Discord. The links to those are both in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all again tomorrow.